Hello and welcome back to Merkman Tips. Today we have a 2015 C220 CDI and we are going to be changing the engine oil cooler. The reason we're going to change that part is because the coolant tank is full of engine oil. Now what usually happens on this engine is the engine oil cooler cracks internally, causing the engine oil to mix into the cooling system and end up in the coolant tank. So this is what the engine oil cooler looks like, and it comes with the oil filter housing, and it's on the right hand side of the engine. The oil cooler actually bolts underneath the inlet manifold, so there is a lot of parts to remove. And the first part to remove is this vacuum box, which has one bolt here and two at the back, one vacuum hose here and a few vacuum hose on the side here. So let's get started. So once we have the vacuum box off, the next part to remove is this Egr cooler, which has 3 bolts at the top and 3 underneath. It's also got one bolt here and a 13mm holding it here. Now the best thing to use for this is a quarter drive ratchet with a long extension with either a E10 or an E8 socket. So let's take this part off now. So once we've removed the Egr cooler, the next part to remove is this Egr pipe, which has 2 bolts here and 2 bolts on the side. Now that we have removed this Egr pipe, the next part is this intake part, which bolts onto the inlet manifold with these 4 bolts. There's also 2 bolts down there on the side, and there's 4 bolts bolting onto the throttle body. So let's take this part off now. So once we remove this intake pipe, the next part to remove is this throttle valve here. It's already loose, just the electrical connection needs to be disconnected over here. So let's take that off now. Now we have the throttle valve removed. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the fan belt and also remove the Aircon compressor. Currently taking the Aircon gas out. Once we've removed the AC compressor, the next part to remove is this aluminium bracket here. Now there's 1 bolt here, 1 right at the bottom, 2 bolts there and 2 on that side. Once we have removed this bracket, the next part to remove will be this aluminium bracket here. Once we have removed this bracket, we finally have access to the oil cooler, and that will be the part to be removed next. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So finally we have the oil cooler out. As you can see, this is the part that cracks internally and mixes the oil into the cooling system, and it sits right underneath the inlet manifold. So now I'm going to put the new part on and put everything back together in the reverse order that I took them off, and yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's another job done. I've flushed the coolant system and cleaned the coolant bottle, and the car's ready to go. Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to Merkman Tips.